Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. The Scottish Government is being taken to court again. This time, campaigners are appealing against a 2022 decision by Lady Haldane that says that trans men can pretend to be women for the purposes of representation on Scottish company boards. There was a law brought in saying that there must be a sort of a representation amongst the sexes on especially larger companies having so many women on their board. And the decision by Lady Haldane meant that pretendy Wendy's can be counted as women for the purposes of that act. Well, the campaigners today are appealing it, and they're saying that by doing so, it removes women as a class in law. And that would be not only morally and ethically wrong, but also legally wrong under the 2010 Equality Act. And so off they tootle off to the Court of Appeal. Now, this court case will be heard today, and it is expected to have some serious ramifications, because if the campaigners win, then it is taken that being female biologically is a protected class, which goes against just about everything that the Scottish Government are trying to push with its other legislation. So this could have, like I say, big ramifications on other areas, particularly the Gender Reform Act, which is also going to appeal. We're waiting to hear back for that, so that decision is due perhaps next week. Well, we'll have a look at this article, see what's going on, see why these women feel so strongly about it, and why, if they lose, the Scottish Government could be in trouble. Here goes. So, Scottish Government questioned over transparency as a second gender court case looms. Well, it's looming all right. It starts today, so we will find out. Now, don't expect, of course, to hear anything today. This is the sort of thing where the judges will hear the pros and the cons, the two arguments. They'll disappear away, have their little judgely huddle, and it'll probably be a written response in a few weeks' time. That generally tends to be the shape of these things. But anyway, the Nat government has decided not to publish a preview of their court arguments as a key women's rights appeal fast approaches. And I say they're probably in the court as we speak. The Scottish Government, which faces a court appeal today, they put this week, but they mean today, has faced transparency questions after it confirmed that it would not be publishing its written arguments, unlike their Section 35 case a few weeks ago. For Women Scotland issued an appeal that will be heard today after the 2022 decision from Judge Lady Haldane that gave the green light for trans women, men, to be considered in the same legal class as biological women. For Women Scotland said this meant women were no longer recognised in law as a sex class. The Scottish feminist group will argue that the SNP Green proposals to amend the 2018 Gender Representation on Public Boards Act was therefore unlawful. And ahead of the one-day hearing that will be live-streamed, For Women Scotland, along with the lobby group Sex Matters, have both published their submissions to the court. However, the Scottish Government said it will not be following suit. Now, we've got to presume, because it probably doesn't have a legal standing, it doesn't have any argument that will be up for scrutiny, because how can they possibly have that? How can they possibly say that the best woman for the job is a man? How can they possibly say that to increase women on boards, we're allowing more men on boards? You'd be hard pushed to argue that that is the case, that a man in a dress is a woman, because it's quite clearly not. Policy experts from Murray Blackburn Mackenzie, who offered in-depth commentary on the Scottish Government's gender legislation attempts, published emails revealing that no prior sight of the note of argument, a summary of the arguments they are putting to the court, will be published. MBM said the Scottish Government response has now just arrived, and in contrast to its approach in the Section 35 case 2 weeks ago, it will not be publishing any of the written material it has submitted to the court. Now, since it is being live streamed, we will hear the arguments. The arguments will be out there. It's just very odd that they wouldn't publish them in advance. What have they got to hide, after all? Anyway, Lucy Hunter Blackburn from the NBM later said, I'm curious to know how ScotGov will explain the difference in its approach to transparency in these two cases. The letter from the Scottish Government reads, "Thank you for your correspondence of the 29th of September to the Lord Advocate, which has been passed to us to respond to asking about what plans the Scottish ministers have to make available their note of argument ahead of the forthcoming hearing in the inner house of the Court of Session regarding the above petition. This is not something that the Scottish ministers will be doing." It goes on. As you will be aware, the court hearing is to be live streamed, so those who wish to listen to do so can listen to the arguments being advanced by the parties. Now, that's basically saying we're not telling you in advance what we're going to say because you're going to come up and have some really good ideas to defeat it, rather than having to think of them on the spot in the court, which seems a very scared way of doing it, aren't they? What are they so scared about? Why are they being so shady? Why are they wanting to hide their arguments? Surely, if they've got a good legal argument, they'd be happy to publish it. So it does make you think, they probably don't have a good legal argument. So it already looks like the pressure groups for Women in Scotland will likely win, which we want to hope so. Anyway, for Women in Scotland, which has previously won another legal battle against the Scottish Government's plan to redefine women in the legislation, said the decision would have clear ramifications. The Haldane ruling would mean that a person with a gender recognition certificate could expect to be legally treated as a certificate sex marker. In other words, Haldane's decision said that if you pretend to be a woman hard enough, you will in law be a woman, even though you will never be a woman biologically. And that means that biological women are no longer women. Women in law means women and pretendy Wendy's. Men who pretend to be women are also women, which means there's no such thing in law as a biological woman. And so that is the removal of a class. There's no such thing. Biological women don't exist in law. Put it that way. That's what Lady Haldane's ruling meant. And they're obviously challenging it. Anyway, as far as the Public Boards Act goes, this means initiatives to encourage biological women onto the boards will now include biological men. And it is argued that that would water down equality initiatives. It also ties into the ongoing controversy around the Gender Recognition Reform Bill that is undergoing its own legal battle. Now, we're expecting the result of that probably the end of next week. And so we will be keeping an eye out on that. And I definitely want common sense, we say, to prevail in that case. Again, it's one of those where ultimately people will ignore it because no matter how much you want something, it won't happen. A man who pretends to be a woman is still only a man pretending to be a woman. Whether he has a piece of paper or not, he's still a man, biologically. And they've got to accept that. They probably won't, though. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you want. You are what you are. You're Popeye the Sailor Man. Anyway, I shall round off, come up, and we'll finish off the video. There you are. Let us hope that For Women in Scotland and Sex Matters both win their respective cases. It seems a very odd thing that in law a man can be a man but a woman can't be a woman. So I think common sense must prevail. Of course, the problem with the SNP is it hasn't got any common sense. But the ramifications are quite intense, and not only for sort of sex-based rights but also for the Gender Recognition Reform Bill, the appeal that's going through over the Section 35. And if the ScotGov lose that, then that just heaps more pressure on them, doesn't it? And so, yeah, keep it up. Let's hope that that's 2 defeats for the SNP. Just as they're going into their conference in a week or so's time, they'll be going in with glum faces all round, we hope. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see here on the channel, do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video, and until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it doesn't matter what you've got, you can't change your biological sex. Bye.